acolytes of Horkos! Today, your new life in the Order begins. But before you are sent on your path, let me remind you of our shared history and of why we fight. It all began over 1,000 years ago. A great cataclysm destroyed the world as people knew it. It was a miracle that anyone survived. 3 factions arrived on the continent, searching for a new beginning. Legions of knights came from a once great empire. They settled in the southwest and called their lands Ashfeld. Viking clans who hailed from the north sailed over and named their claimed territory Valkenheim, a cold and unforgiving realm. The samurai who lost their home to the sea would find refuge in the mire. A dangerous yet beautiful place. They survived where none dared to live. Resources were scarce. Everyone would try to stay alive in this shattered world, which of course would lead to war over its last shards. For a millennium, the factions fought for survival, for territories, for honor, for their people. But over time, the world grew quieter. The factions stayed behind their borders, like cowards. Their people became weak. But one woman changed that. The first of us. The one who would start a new age. Apollyon. Knowing of humanity's true nature, she and her Blackstone Legion would rekindle the flame of war once more by bringing each faction to their limits and freeing the wolves of this world. Even though she had fallen in her attempt, she still succeeded. Her sacrifice will never be forgotten. In time, an army of invaders marched into Heathmoor from the east. That would bring even more contenders to the battlefields. Emperor Gao Lei and his Wu Lin. After waging a civil war in their own homeland, they would finally set their sights on our lands. When rumors of a new cataclysm began to spread, all wished to be victorious in the war as quickly as possible, so they could ready themselves for what was to come. Even though they were once hated pariahs, the factions allied with powerful warriors of unchallenged ambition and talent. Their leaders would become known as the Harbingers. The omens of doom were seen all across Heathmoor. The earth began shaking. Mount Ignis spat fire, and waves rose high and crushed those who dared to stand in their way. In this chaos, I saw an opportunity and sent the remnants of the Blackstone Legion to Kiang Pass to retrieve something for me. Things grew complicated when Sundar, the Zhan Yu, used his secret weapon, the Arcanite Fire, in a desperate attempt to defeat us. But he failed, and now serves the Order as I see fit. After all the battles and disasters came an abrupt and sudden silence. The earth went quiet, the waves lulled, and warriors would once again have their minds clouded by thoughts of peace. They looked at the world in a new, revolting way. And so, the undeserving hypocrites began to take over once more. Resources were abundant. There was enough for everyone, so they said. Words of the weak, of cowards who grew lazy and apathetic. Eventually, 4 faction leaders, Lady Gabrielle, Ling the Tiandi, the Kensei Tadeo, and Jarl Leot would meet in Wyverndale, a meadow where once stood a great city, destroyed in the cataclysm. There, they signed a truce. In the years that followed, too many were convinced by the lies of peace. They would hold festivities called the Honor Games. Warriors would mock fight each other for nothing more than sport and entertainment. It was an insult to the great warriors of old. But their blinding happiness would be of great use to us. While they entertained themselves, I sent my warmongers out into the world and traveled to distant lands to bring the truth to warriors like you. The ones who knew that there was more to life than growing old and being forgotten after death. When the knights held mock battles to celebrate Apollyon's fall in her own castle, I decided to put an end to these shameful festivities myself. The Shard would be freed of the vermin that had the audacity to set foot in it. With us, we brought a gift. The sacred stone of Horkos. And with it, we cleansed Heathmoor of the evil which spread across the lands. After the Great Purge, we established our order. A continent-wide regime with the closest allies ruling over their respective factions and lands. Yato, the White Ghost, was in command of our stronghold in the Mire. Gretar, the Blue Serpent, led the Vikings. And Erzsebet, the Carmine Queen, would watch over a great forge in Ashfeld with the assistance of Fu Huo, the Violet Flame. The new world we long craved was about to become reality. But even after our victory, there yet remained warriors who opposed us. These people worked together and staged a rebellion. The first of them was an Aramusha named Gomon, who dared challenge us. During an attack on Yeto's fortress, Goman and his rebels freed a blacksmith named Ilma from imprisonment. Ilma is a former member of the Makers Guild, a group of artisans that remained neutral in the war and provided all factions with tools and weapons as means of payment. We attempted to recruit her, but she was too stubborn. She refused, and instead assisted the rebellion. With her help, the rebels made use of what our order calls draconite. This blacksmith forged weapons with it, in its purest form. Many among them, including powerful scythes. With these, the rebels were able to push us out and claim some land once again. It was a dark time for our order. But even after these losses, the rebellion still posed no real threat to us. Not until they found a leader who would unite them. Holden Cross, or Griffin as he calls himself today, came back from his long travels as a mercenary. He is a former member of the Blackstone Legion, and above all, a traitor to Apollyon. Having chosen a new name, he offered to lead the rebellion. Under the Griffin's wings, the rebels united and became a powerful force. The Chimera Alliance. Many of them are wolves, misguided by false promises and appalling beliefs. The day came when our armies would face each other. The Battle of the Eclipse. Tens of thousands of warriors on each side fought without break. Weeks of fighting, filled with glory and pain, honor and death. A momentous battle, one I will forever remember. In the years after the Battle of the Eclipse, we slowly regained strength and filled our ranks by inviting many warriors, like you, to the masquerades. Unfortunately, many others were also drawn to the Alliance, who held their own events. While our warriors would earn their place by fighting and proving their worth, these sheep held a banquet hosted by the greatest coward in history, Hervis Daubeny, another despicable betrayer. Alas, the time for celebrations would end when a drought struck Heathmoor. We heard of a secret water source in the Mire and sent warriors there to secure it. And, as expected, the Alliance did the same. The soldiers were most surprised when they discovered a hidden samurai temple. In this temple, they met the Kyoshin, fighters who held no allegiance to anyone but the balance of nature itself. After their temple was destroyed, some even picked sides in this war. When all thought the drought would never end, the desperate among them prayed to their gods and made sacrifices. The Vikings prayed for water, and in their eyes, their gods finally listened. Through the drought's heat, the glaciers of Valkenheim melted. Water flooded the lands, and a powerful storm was approaching. A great tempest. Many of you lost homes and loved ones to the currents, whirlwinds, and landslides. But yet, here you are still. The strongest and bravest. Once the seas settled and the storm passed, many warriors found themselves lost and alone. Winter set in, and countless used it as a time of respite. They left the battlefields to reunite with their friends and families. And I would allow it, only briefly. The warriors required a break to regain their strength. My loyal wolves had earned theirs. And lastly, not long ago, Bu Yin, the pirate queen, landed on our shores. Even though she is not one of us, I will recognize that she is an outstanding warrior. I once fought alongside her many years ago. If she won't join our cause, then I know she and her fellow pirates will make for worthy foes. Now, it is time. Venture out into the world. Spread the truth and save this world from peace. In this, you will find glory!